Hi, and welcome to the WB Mason Coach Report. Joined today by Hofstra baseball coach John Russo. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, season is now ended. Let's just take a recap. 15-37 year. I know not what you had expected and hoped for. Let's just go into this last series with James Madison, and then we'll look at the positives of the season that we can take from. Go into that final weekend. Had a chance to play a spoiler role for JMU. Didn't work out that way. Just, I guess, your overall thoughts on the series. We won't go game by game, but just your overall thoughts on your team's performance in the series.
You got a really hot team of JMU coming in there. Went into a 3 from Wilmington, the best team in the conference, and really felt like they carried that momentum into the series. I thought we jumped out to an early lead in game 1 and thought we'd have a little momentum, but a really good senior pitcher, a 4-year starter in the league. Starting game 1 for them, and they just got big hits and played really good defense, and I think overall they just outplayed us in most every aspect of the game, and I thought we got a good start from Bowie Matheson on Sunday, or the second game on Friday, and the last game of the series, but it just wasn't enough to beat them. JMU was a hot team. They moved up 3 spots in the rankings, I think, or went up to 4th or overall in the conference, and really impressed overall with their team play and how they played.
All right, let's look at some of the positives this year. Start with David Lederman, who was named second team All-CAA. David had career highs in nearly every offensive category this year. Just talk about David's play. You've seen him from his freshman year where he redshirted all the way through now. Just see the progression of David and talk a little bit about his performance.
Where David came from in high school, his senior year he was the best player in Nassau, but I wasn't sure how that would correlate into college because his physicality wasn't strong enough, and then he added almost 25 pounds his redshirt year, and then since then he's added another 20 pounds, so you're talking about a kid who's added 45 pounds in strength to get ready to have success at the Division I level. And I think a lot of people and kids talk about wanting to do Division I, and then they don't want to do the work ethic that it takes to do it. And David Lederman has done that in spades. And I think with his hitting ability, it's probably been great his whole life. It's just want to and gotten stronger and made himself the player he is today. And super proud of him. He was our best hitter this year in conference for sure. And I thought he had a really good year. Arguably could have been the first team All-CAA. But we'll take second team, and really proud and anxious to see how David can keep going into his senior year.
Another positive, a lot of youth on the field this year. A lot of first-year players, some redshirts, some transfers. Obviously, some of the standout performances. John Rooney, his performance. How did you see him progress from his start of the season through moving into the rotation and being your number 2 starter by the end of the year?
I thought John Rooney's growth was probably one of the biggest things of the season. We all knew that he had ability to pitch at the Division I level, but I think it was the throwing side of it more so than the pitchability side of it. And I think as the season grew on, John really figured out how to throw in games, hold runners, make pitches behind the count. I thought this last outing he learned how to pitch when he didn't have his best stuff. Everything he did this year was great for a learning experience. I think he's going to be as good one, in his Hofstra career, but really good chance to compete in the CAA his next 3 years.
A couple other, just touch on a few other guys. Obviously Nick Behtari saw some action, in and out of the lineup with some injuries and then with position flexibility. But another guy, redshirt freshman in his first year. What did you see from Nick, and how do you see going forward his projectability in the next couple of years?
I think what Nick did on his year, never really being fully healthy was incredible. I thought he hit really well. He had 6 or 7 home runs. He had the RBIs. I think his RBIs per games played was really well. But the thing with Nick, we got to get him healthy, and I think he was messing around with his injured back a lot of the year, and I got to give him a lot of credit because played in a lot of games when he wasn't healthy and still able to do those numbers at Division I. I mean, to think what he could do, when he's fully healthy is really exciting for us in the program because, I think the sky's the limit for what he can do offensively at the plate. And, stuff that I liked towards the end of the season, he was really playing a great defensive first base. So overall, Nick's potential is unlimited, and, we just need to get him fully healthy. And I think once fully healthy, Nick could be one of the best players, hitters in the conference.
You touched on, Nick hitting home runs. Overall, the team had one of its best years, its best year in nearly 15 years in the power department, hitting 47 home runs this year. Is that something that you've been focusing on, getting recruiting for more power?
No, I felt like the league or whatever, the fields and stuff we play at was based a lot more on power. I mean, if you look around the league, everybody's really offensive. I mean, Wilmington, wins the league, and I think 7 of their 9 starters or maybe more will be all conference type of, hitters. And I think the power was great. We just got to figure out how to do it better with runners in scoring position, guys at third, less than 2 outs. I think we need to be a little bit better situational. But, we'll never complain about having too much power or swinging. And then the other side of that's it, a lot of it was young power. And so you got to assume that they'll keep adding to those totals, and as they get more experience, they'll hit better.
As you see, the young power, Teddy Sillis, redshirt sophomore, Vito Freesia with a few home runs. These guys are going to be, I assume, to be cornerstones of your lineup for the next couple of years. So, the future is bright for Hofstra baseball, regardless of the record this season. Moving forward, looking at the summer, what do you tell your team, what do they need to work on this summer as many of them go off and play in collegiate summer leagues?
No, I think overall is let's say for the hitters, I think they need to be more consistent at the plate, work on, being tougher outs. I think one of the things we did this year overall as a group probably struck out too much. I think like Stephen Foster going to the Cape, be playing against the best talent in the country, getting a chance to compete at that level. Teddy will be in the Cape for some, they both need to cut down on strike counts and see how they can compete against the best guys in the country. And for the pitching that's going out, I think they did fine. Like our strikeouts to walks was a lot better. I think our ERA was a little bit misleading because we went with some young guys at a time, and had really tough opponents overall the course of the year, and had 30 plus road games, and just hard to win overall. But I think for the pitching going out, they just need to keep throwing strikes at a high volume, keep growing on what they learned this year, and keep getting better.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time today and for this season, and enjoy the summer.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for everything.
You've been watching the WB Mason Coaches Report on GoHofstra.com.